Hello and welcome to our loyal viewers, and welcome to today's show. So instead of our regular programming, we decided to switch things up a bit. Today we have the honor of chatting and learning more about an inspiring individual who has been touted as a trailblazer for women in Canada. She developed the new science of gender physics and now dedicates her life to helping women access their opposite energies in order for them to not only survive in the workplace, but thrive. Heggie is joining us today on the show, and I personally could not be more excited. So first, Betty-Ann, thanks so much for being with us today.
Oh, Hannah, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
So just to give some context of your story and how your journey all began, you graduated from the University of Saskatchewan and soon after began working as the first ever female beer rep in the province of Saskatchewan. After exploring business for a while, you then landed at the Potash Corporation of Saskatchewan, Inc., climbing your way to senior vice president and an officer in the company. Am I correct?
All correct.
Now, I can't imagine that this was an easy task, Betty-Ann. So my first question to you is, what do you credit your success to date?
I credit my success to be able to use both of the energies, be able to use attributes that would typically be considered masculine so that I could get my ideas across and have them accepted and be considered a leader, but also that I was able to form relationships and get to know people and be helpful and have them like me so that they gave me opportunities to do things. And as women, we do walk a tightrope of having to do both be perceived as leaders and also be liked. And the way that we do that is to use attributes that are typically masculine and attributes that are typically feminine. And I was able to do that, and it served me well. And so this is what I do now in my retirement, is that I go out and talk about this to other women because I want them to find the secrets that help make me successful so that they can do the same.
And how did you come to the conclusion of these opposite energies? Did you just find them out on your own, or was it a mentor that, guided you to them?
Well, I think it's probably always a confluence of factors that come together. First of all, I can't take credit for it actually is based on the yin and the yang from ancient Chinese philosophy. I've just repackaged it for the modern world. There's a famous psychologist, Jung, who talks about the anima and the animus, that men have a little women in them and women have a little men in them. So this is all out there. All I did was start observing people that I thought were successful and watching how they took a strong stand when they needed to, but how they also stepped back and listened to the collective and paid attention to people, because that's how they established a power base and they were able to move forward. So I will say that I really do credit a lot of our leaders at Potash that I watched as I was formulating my opinions on what it took to be a leader. And I watched one of the CEOs that I work for, that I had a lot of admiration for him, and he was able to come in and make tough decisions when he needed to make them. But when he got opposition, he didn't get tougher. He actually backed off and listened and was empathetic. And I admired his ability to do that, and I watched him do it and decided that this is what it takes to be successful. And then I started doing it myself and watching other people do it, and now I find that I just see masculine and feminine energy in all the successful leaders in the world, in the successful heads of companies. I go to a movie and I'm looking at the way people are demonstrating masculine and feminine energy. It's just now become part of my being and who I am.
Wonderful. So obviously it's a huge skill to be able to master these two different energies. So how do you gauge when's the right time?
Well, what's interesting is I don't think it is a great skill. I just think it's we have to unlearn some of the things that are taught to us when we're born. We're born and we're labeled a boy or a girl, and after that, we know whether we're supposed to pick pink or blue. And then we start using all those attributes as we are conditioned to use one or the other. And so what it means is letting go of a little bit of our conditioning and actually stepping across and using the attributes of your opposite, or what I now say is really a complement. So it's like water in a tap. You turn on a little bit if you want cold water, you turn on that tap because you want to quench your thirst. If you want to have a nice relaxing bath, you turn on the other tap. But you also, if you're going to wash your hair, You don't want it too hot, you don't want it too cold, so you're kind of adjusting that tap all the time. And that's what we're doing, is that we're really just awakening both energies that are present in each of us and using them both in the right situation with the right audience in the right venue. And yes, it takes a little bit of feeling which one's right. And so you might add a little bit of cold, and then you think, I think a little bit more hot would work better. Yeah. So you do go back and forth, but each and every one of us can do it. And it's simply a matter of letting go of the conditioning that we've received from the time that we were born, that we're supposed to be a certain way because we're a certain gender.
Yeah, so true, and so enlightening to hear you say that. So, personally for me, something that I struggle with is knowing when to be that, aggressive and really, demanding assertion in a boardroom or in a meeting. And sometimes I feel like I lose sort of who I naturally am as a kind-natured person. So how do you find that balance with that, with regards to the masculine and feminine energy?
Well, really good question, because some of it, it really does boil down to recognizing what are your trigger points. So probably the things that you're the most attracted to or attached to, the things that you really want to accomplish, that's when it's quite natural to go back into. First of all, let me say that I do have an assessment that I put together that helps you analyze whether you are naturally masculine or naturally feminine in your energy. And I would like to also say that just because you are a man doesn't mean you're going to be masculine energy. Just because you're a woman doesn't mean you're going to be feminine energy. Because in the same way that men are on average taller than women, there will be women that are taller than most men.
Yeah.
So what I find is that whenever I do a workshop, probably 2/3 to 3/4 of the women are feminine energy, but there's always going to be 1/3 to 1/4 of the women that will be masculine energy, and nothing is wrong. And I also am finding that a lot more of the younger men are scoring feminine energy. So basically what I say is, know your natural energy, your authentic energy, and then recognize the situations where you are really maybe attached to the outcome, you really want to see something done, you're passionate about it. And what tends to happen under those circumstances is that we dial up our natural energy and it becomes too extreme. And that's really usually where we get stuck and other people back off, because we all can sense balance and it makes all of us feel more comfortable. So if you are bringing forward your natural energy to get things done, if you're masculine energy, and I happen to be masculine energy, so I know a little bit about this, I recognize that I can turn people off and I need to stop and listen and include them in the conversation before I drive forward, or I'm going to lose them.
It's a sense of confidence of just knowing where you're at, right?
That's part of it. And then recognizing the circumstances where you usually tend to get, and if you're overtired or overstressed or overwhelmed, again, you go to your comfort zone. You go to where you are the most comfortable, and that's going to be your authentic energy. And that's where you're tempted to dial it up and not to introduce the compliment, which actually calms everybody. So basically what I've done is I've listed a whole bunch of variables and a whole bunch of factors or attributes and what their complement is, so that you can look at it and say, maybe I'm being too end product oriented right now, and that means that I need to go back and think about creation, because that's going to calm me and calm everybody else.
So I want to switch over a little bit over to mentorship. So what do you look for and what do you advise people to look for when searching for a mentor?
Well, I say that there's 3 different kinds of mentors. First of all, there could be a formal mentorship program, which is the kind that I founded at the University of Saskatchewan in Canada. And basically what that means is that you are matched with a mentor. You decide what, and it's a formal program, and somebody says, here's your mentor for a year. And I love the movies, so I always say that's what happened in the Hunger Games. She got matched with Hayworth Abernathy, and I mean, or Haymitch Abernathy, and who wants him for a mentor? He's a reprobate. But nonetheless, he still served as a good mentor to her. He got her sponsorship, he gave her good advice. She didn't always follow it. That's how mentorship works. Then on the other end of the extreme, you have what I call the drive-by mentor. So you get into an airplane, you sit down, you have a problem, and you think to yourself, you just start talking to this person next to you, and you don't even ever learn their name, but they say something that creates a paradigm shift for you, and you leave that airplane looking at the world differently and knowing that there's something that you can do. You get an answer. That person has also served as a mentor to you.
So it's just a matter of listening.
Exactly. Being open to growth and making sure that everybody provides a growth opportunity for you. So in the middle of this formal and completely informal mentorship is what I say most of us have. And it's basically someone that you turn to. You never formally call it a mentor. It's just someone that you say, let me, here's my issue. What do you think? And you might have a number of different people in your life that offer mentorship to you. If maybe your mother's. The woman that was my executive assistant when I was working, we used to laugh that I was her mentor at the office, but she already had children that were grown and I was having babies. She was my mentor for motherhood. Oh. So, you can have somebody who's your mentor in one area. Jack Welch wrote, when he said he started introducing mentorship in his company because he wanted the 50-somethings to learn about social media from the 20-somethings and the 20-somethings to learn about corporate culture from the 50-somethings. Yeah. So mentorship is something that means we're really forming our own opinions. Mentors are not a personal therapist. They're not somebody that helps you with your life and decides everything. You are in control of your own life. You need to turn to people and get the value of their perspective. I say it's like you're driving down the road and there's a big hill in front of you, and you don't know what's on the other side of this hill because you've never driven a road like this before. But a mentor has, and they can say, I've been over a road like this before, and I can tell you on the other side of that hill could be A, could be B, could be C. And you say, it's not up to you to tell me, it's up to me to decide. Yeah. I'm now aware of what those options are. I'm going to guess that it's A, but I'll be ready for B and C in case that's what's there.
So cool. Betty Ann, I feel like I could chat for you for hours, and I feel like we've just kind of hit the tip of the iceberg with all of the knowledge that you have. But just last question, I got to ask you. You're a Sasky girl, so have you ever worn a watermelon on your head?
No, I do have a few green shirts though.
Okay, good. I'm a big Saskatchewan Rough Riders fan as well, so thought we'd have that in common. Well, thanks again so much for joining us here today on this show. I can't thank you enough, and hopefully we'll talk to you again soon and learn more about this amazing revelation that you've had.
Well, thank you very much, Hannah. It was my pleasure being with you today.